say is your greatest influence musically?
I could never answer that because it changes daily, and it couldn't possibly be one. I mean, I could rattle off names for hours. I mean, for me, I think it's just like the soup of all the music that I was doing. It's probably true for you too, to some extent.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, I would say the Beatles because when I was growing up, they were sort of represented like a cultural shift where you had gotten to the certain point where you were going to sort of follow whatever your parents did and do the same thing. And all of a sudden you saw these four guys who were just like having a great time and seemed to be controlling their own lives completely with no parents telling them what to do. And you're like, I'm going to do that, you know. And so even more so than the specific music, you know, the notes that they were singing or anything, it was their lifestyle influenced a lot of people, I think, of a certain generation to think it was okay to just play the guitar for your whole life, which I've done. You know, I sort of got their stamp of approval when I was a kid.
That's excellent. So what would you say is your like top 25 most played on your, maybe your iTunes library or a CD that you've worn?
Top 25. You want all 25?
No, just general.
For current stuff, Camera Obscura, Tegan and Sarah, Bat for Lashes, The Submarines, The Mates of State, Fleet Foxes, Regina Spektor, oh God,
School of Seven Bells.
School of Seven Bells, I love them. And then older stuff, Beatles always, The Byrds, Dylan, Patsy Cline, Dusty Springfield, Fairport Convention. I mean, I could go on forever. I could even go on forever. But it is a mix. And those are all mostly pop things. But then we listen to Miles Davis, you know, or Debussy and Ravel, you know, impressionistic stuff. Pete has got a whole another line of guitar players that he listens to.
Yeah, well, I listen to classical music more than anything else. And then when I listen to pop music, I like stuff that reminds me of the classical music that I like. So I listen to Debussy a lot and impressionistic stuff like that, Debussy and Ravel. And I love Stravinsky too, and I love Leonard Bernstein and George Gershwin. And so when I listen to those for a while, and then I start going through iTunes, I always go to iTunes Essentials and look up different music to study by, or this, you know, and look at the date, February 18th. Oh, it's February 19th. I want to check this out, you know, and so I'll do that, and then I'll hear something. Like that's why I brought up School of Seven Bells, because what they were a very textural kind of sound, and so I can listen to Stravinsky, and I listen to them, and I hear it sounds kind of similar, except they're rock too, which is what I grew up with, you know. So it combines things from way before my time that I'm interested in with things that are of my time, and so I like that, you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I like to have a feel.
All right, so that's the last question. Is there any, you guys have been around for a little while, is there any like advice that you'd like to give to someone who maybe would like to go into this genre of music specifically? Is there anything that, what did you guys do to get yourself started out?
We, when we started, we talked about the music first. Like, I remember we sat down at a cafe and said, well, what do we want our sound to be like? What do we want to sound like? And we didn't think about things like, you know, which record label should we pitch ourselves to, or you know, how do we write a hit song? Or, you know, I would say whatever you do, just express yourself without worrying about where it's going to fit in, without worrying about how many people are going to buy it, if you're going to win awards, if anyone's going to even like it. You got to like it yourself. If you can write something that you totally believe in, it's going to be original.
Yeah.
You know, and I think these days with kind of the demise of the major label industry and the rise of the indie, I mean, it's really amazing what's happening with music now. I think a lot of people are bemoaning the fact that, you know, all the record labels are falling apart. Well, that's the major labels.
Yeah.
But the indie scene is really, it's a great field, you know, a level playing field for a new band. So I would say just be original. Don't try to fit into a niche. I think that's why you have some of these great new indie bands that you have, because people aren't even shooting for major label stuff anymore. And so they're willing to just create. I would say, if you really want the key, I tell all young musicians this, no matter what genre of music, or whether you want to be a musician or an artist or an architect or a painter or a sculptor, go to a used bookstore and pick up a copy of Rilke's book called Letters to a Young Poet. It's like 40 pages long, maybe 50. And that's got the answer for creative people, because he addresses that question so perfectly. And what the essence of what he says to this young poet who's asking him, you know, can you tell me if my work is any good? His answer is, I'm not going to tell you if it's any good. I'm not going to tell you that you should quit your job to do this. You have to ask yourself, must I write to survive? That's really the key. Like if you would die without expressing yourself artistically, then do it. It doesn't matter if you live on, you know, rice and beans. You'll be happy, and you'll be following your bliss. So that's my advice.
I would say, you know, listen to a lot of music, and when you listen to music, try to free yourself of certain prejudices, prejudgments. Like, don't listen to whether it's old or new. Don't listen to whether other people think it's good or bad, or other people think it's hip or not. And don't listen to see whether you would fit into a certain group of people that you would like to belong to if you like this music, or reject it. If you can free yourself of those things and you listen with a totally open mind, you'll be able to grow a lot faster as a musician. You know, I can go online and see baby boomers arguing that there's no music after The Who that's any good. And then I can see other people arguing that there's no one before Lady Gaga who's any good. And they're both kind of limiting themselves so much, you know, because The Who and Lady Gaga are both good in their own way.
They're completely different too.
Yeah. Or you can listen to The Who's records they made when they were the same age as Lady Gaga, and maybe they were really had the same kind of vitality that she has now. So if you free yourself of the time period thing, all of a sudden all these things really come to life, and it really broadens out for you. And then you'll be working towards your own original style, because you're not trying to fit into a certain mold. You're just like complete freedom.
That's great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.